So welcome to the TRT and Hormone Optimization YouTube channel. As a guest, we have back with us Gil T. Welcome, Gil.
Hey, glad to be here. Thanks.
Hi, man. I just got a notice from my compounding pharmacy that the FDA is considering restrictions on HRTs. So this gentleman reached out to you directly since you are in the field. So what about that, Gil? This video is sponsored by Mizumi, the #1 pick for men on TRT. Check out this clear skin salicylic cleanser, the most powerful acne cleanser, deeply unclogs pores and prevents future acne inflammations. Shop now at Mizumi's using the link in the description under this video.
Okay, so the big pharma war on compounding pharmacies is nothing new. It's been ongoing for as long as I can remember. And it's no surprise because when you have larger corporations that make a lot of money on selling medications, there is a twofold process in play here. First and foremost, you have this idea that replacement of hormones and therapy of hormone balances, in essence, resolves a lot of the common symptoms that are known around the world, specifically in America. Type 2 diabetes, hypertension, sexual dysfunctions, dyslipidemia, potentially some other metabolic syndrome type symptoms, and overall osteoporosis. Overall, optimal health is generally restored when lifestyle and hormone balance is brought back in order. This is not good news for Big Pharma because they make a heck of a lot more money medicating you on 7, 8, 9, 10 medications for the rest of your life. Whereas if they just sold you maybe a vial or two or a couple of different hormones that are relatively low cost, from a financial standpoint, it is not favorable. So quietly, there's always going to be a war from Big Pharma against the replacement therapy. And this is evident in the medical community when it comes to literature, continuing education, and primary education in the medical facilities across all facets of degrees. As you'll notice that there's very little touched on when it comes to hormone therapy. And when it is, it's often accompanied by negative connotation, heart attack, stroke, blood clots, et cetera, et cetera. So generally the whole steroid topics that come up in the medical community from an education standpoint are often a negative one. So there's poor education, and then there's a whole stigma around it, combined with the fact that the medications themselves are not as readily available or promoted. The second issue here is more of a legal copyright issue. My understanding, and this is from a compounding pharmacy that is local to one of my offices, where I spoke to the pharmacist who happens to be the sole proprietor or owner of the pharmacy. His daughter actually works for the FDA. And he mentioned to me that the way he compounds medications must have a variance of approximately 10% at least to the name brand medication. So for example, depot testosterone, 200 milligrams per ml, 10 ml vial, cottonseed oil, right? That is the patented medication. When he compounds, he must do something that is going to give a greater than 10% variation from that formula. So he may give you a 5 ml vial rather than 10. He may use grapeseed oil in place of cottonseed oil. He may make it 210 or 180 milligrams per ml, or he may make it 75% cypionate and 25% enanthate. So if a lot of you guys ever wondered why some compounded medications differ from their name brand counterpart, the answer is simple. It's a copyright infringement for a compounder to mimic the original formula made by one of the larger brands. So that is why compounding is always kind of working around. Now, sometimes these brands will go after a pharmacy and say, hey, that medication doesn't have that 10% variable, right? And that is more of a subjective argument. Well, what constitutes for 10% of the overall? Is it the size of the vial? Is it the carrier oil? Is it the milligrams per milliliter concentration, right? Is it the actual ester? So sometimes they'll fight that. And obviously the little guys or the independent pharmacies don't have the financial backing or the legal teams to go and fight these big corporations. So they back off and they say, you know what? No problem. I'll just stop making this because let's face it, testosterone doesn't happen to be a huge moneymaker for a compounding pharmacy, right? They make most of their money on other drugs that are much more common than hormones. So if a Pfizer, forgive me for naming, just lack of a better word to just describe a large pharmaceutical company, comes after Joe's pharmacy on the corner who happens to compound medication, first thing his attorney is going to say, hey, you want to spend $500,000 fighting these guys, even if you win? Just, I mean, how much money are you making on Cypionate? Stop making it. So that pharmacy will back off. Another one will back off. And then your provider is going to tell you, hey, we can't get access to compounded testosterone anymore because all these pharmacies are telling us that it's illegal to make. That's not really the case. Okay. So there are larger compounders around that do have the means to obviously figure out ways to continue to make the medication. We hope this trend continues. We all know there's a tremendous need for compounded medications, and they serve millions of guys and women in a lot of ways. And we hope that that access doesn't change. And I personally don't perceive that it will, but I wanted to give people that are not really on the inside of this industry a little bit of an understanding as to what's really going on. This isn't really the government just coming down and saying, hey, you can't do this anymore. This is kind of a money battle, if you will. So, you know, testosterone is really probably not going to go anywhere. I hate to be, you know, making attempted predictions, but it's just not really viable for it to disappear. Some pharmacies may drop it. Others will pick it up, and it's just probably going to be something that's going to be lingering around. But like I said, if you stick with some of the more reputable, you know, companies out there, you should have access. So.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Gil.
Sure.
Consider becoming a channel member for exclusive features like loyalty badges, early access to new videos, funny stuff like rough cuts and bloopers, members only photos and status updates on the community tab, and members only live stream chat. On desktop, use the join button next to the subscribe. On mobile, use the join link in the description.